العلم أشراف مطلوب وطالبه لله أكرام من يمشي على قدم. العلم نور مبين يستضيء به أهل السعادات والجهال في الظلم.
The second evidence is the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ, in which he said, إِنَّمَا جُعْلَ الْإِمَامُ لِيُؤْتَمَّ بِهِ فَإِذَا كَبَّرَ فَكَبِّرُوا. The Imam has been made the Imam so that you can copy him. لِيُؤْتَمَّ بِهِ, that you can make him as the Imam. فَإِذَا كَبَّرَ, if he says Allahu Akbar, then say Allahu Akbar after him. And the hadith says, وَإِذَا قَرَأَ, and if he reads, فَأَنصِتُوا, then be quiet. And that hadith is authentic, narrated by Imam Muslim rahimahullah, 404. طيب. That is one qawl in the mas'ala. That is one qawl in the mas'ala, whereby a person does not read the Fatiha. So the Fatiha is really the most important thing here, we're just talking about. The Fatiha is the one where the khilaf is in. طيب. The second opinion in this mas'ala, there are other opinions, like the second opinion is that it is wajib for everyone to read after the Imam, to read in the Salah. Whether you're the Imam, the Ma'moom, or the Munfarid, it is wajib for you to pray, to read the Fatiha in the Salah, regardless of the Salah. And the evidence for this is the hadith of Ubadah ibn Samit radiallahu anhu, in which he said, كنا خلف النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم في صلاة الفجر. We were behind the Prophet صلى الله عليه وسلم. We were praying with him for صلاة الفجر. فثقلت عليه القراءة, and the qira'ah became difficult for him because he can hear voices behind him. فلما فرغ, after he finished صلى الله عليه وسلم, he said قال لعلكم تقرؤون خلف إمامكم. He said, I believe you're reading behind the Imam, behind your Imam. قلنا نعم. He said نعم, or they said نعم. قال لا تفعلوا, do not read إلا بفاتحة الكتاب, except the Fatiha of the Kitab, meaning except you read the Fatiha. So do not read behind your Imam. And this is Salatul Fajr, pay attention. So for Salatul Fajr, the Imam reads loud, or he reads out loud, صح? So even though the Imam was reading out loud, the Prophet ﷺ said, لا تقرأوا خلف إمامكم, do not read behind the Imam, لا تفعلوا إلا بفاتحة الكتاب, except if you're reading the Fatiha of the Kitab. فإنه لا صلاة لمن لم يقرأ بها, for verily there is no salah for the one that does not read the Fatiha. There is no salah for the one that does not read the Fatiha. طيب. Narrated by Abu Dawood rahimahullah, 823. And also we have another narration from Umar radiallahu anhu, عن يزيد بن شريك رضي الله عنه رحمه الله قال سألت عمر بن الخطاب رضي الله عنه عن القراءة خلف الإمام, عن القراءة خلف الإمام. I asked Umar رضي الله عنه regarding the recitation behind the Imam. فأمرني أن أقرأ, and he commanded me to read. قلت وإن كنت أنت, even if it's you that I'm praying behind. قال وإن كنت أنا, even if it is me. قلت وإن جهرت, even if you read out loud. قال وإن جهرت, even if I read out loud. That is narrated by Ad-Daraqutni rahimahullah, with an authentic chain of narration. Naam. So that is the second mas'ala. And wallahu a'lam, that is the stronger opinion in this mas'ala. That is the madhab of the Shafi'iyya. Ibn Baz rahimahullah, Ibn Uthaymin also take that opinion. طيب. نعم. So that is with regards to reciting behind the Imam, reciting the Fatiha more specifically. Then he says, وَيُسْتَحَبُّ فِي إِسْرَارِ إِمَامِهِ. So now the next mas'ala that he's about to say, it is based off on the opinion that he has taken, which is what? That it is that the Imam, you don't have to read. That the recitation of the Imam is enough for the Ma'mun. He says, وَيُسْتَحَبُّ, and it is like فِي إِسْرَارِ إِمَامِهِ, in the time when the Imam is quiet. So for example, Salatul Dhuhr, Salat al-Asr, the last two of Salat al-Isha, the last rak'ah of what? Salat al-Maghrib. These are the israr of the Imam, the ones that he reads quietly, the one that he reads quietly. So it's permissible, it is sunnah rather, for him to read and he doesn't remain quiet. وَسُكُوتِهِ Sukut is sakatatat al-Imam. Sakatatat al-Imam. The Imam when he's quiet. So for example, when the Imam says Allahu Akbar and he starts the Salah, before he reads the Fatiha, the Imam is quiet. At that particular time, he says it is sunnah for you to read. طيب. Or, when he finishes that, and there's two sakatat, the two times when the Prophet ﷺ would remain quiet. The first is when he says Allahu Akbar before reading the Fatiha. Abu Hurairah radiallahu anhu narrated that he asked the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, Ya Rasulullah, I've noticed that you're quiet at this time, what do you read? And then he told him the dua al-istiftah, the dua of opening the Salah. The next one that has been authentically narrated from the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam is when he finishes the recitation before going down for ruku', so that there's a gap between the recitation and the ruku', and also for the person to get his breath back before going down for the ruku'. So during those times, he's saying that it is sunnah for the Imam to read. Then he says, rahimahullah, وَإِذَا لَمْ يَسْمَعْهُ لكن, and also from the times when it is sunnah, is that if he does not hear the Imam, if he does not hear the recitation of the Imam. So let's say you're praying in a big open field or in a masjid which is quite big and you can't hear the recitation of the Imam due to the speakers not working, and you can't hear the recitation of the Imam, then it is sunnah for you to read. Is that understood? Or لِطَغَشٍ Tagash is deafness or slight difficulty in hearing. Also for that sort of person, it is sunnah for them to read. However, if a person cannot hear the recitation due to the noisiness of the place, for example, if you're in a masjid where there's a suq, and you can't hear the recitation of the Imam, or the Imam's too far, or the speakers are not working, then it is sunnah for you to read if you can't hear the Imam's recitation. However, if a person cannot hear due to deafness, then it is not sunnah for him to read. Why? Because he's going to disturb those people that are surrounding him, those people that are praying next to him. Then the Shaykh says, rahimahullah, وَيَسْتَفْتِحُ وَيَسْتَعِيدُ فِي مَا يَجْهَرُ فِيهِ إِمَامُهُ. And then he says that the person does dua al-istiftah and says, أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم, even in the salah that the Imam is reading out loud. So for example, Salat al-Isha, the Imam, when you start the salah, you say Allahu Akbar, he's saying it's sunnah for you to read istiftah, the dua, the opening prayer. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك اللهم باعد بيني وبين خطاياي. Or and أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم فيما يجهر به, in that which you say out loud, meaning the Isha prayer and so on. And what also comes under this is the prayers that you don't read out loud, that the Imam doesn't read out loud. That also comes under this. Then he says rahimahullah, ومن ركع أو سجد قبل إمامه. Here this masala is a bit confusing. Lakin, in summary, we're going to listen to the matan and then we're going to mention, or we're going to study the second opinion. Lakin, what it's referring to is the Imam says Allahu Akbar and the ma'moom joins him. However, the ma'moom precedes him into a rak'ah, into a rukun. Precedes him with a rukun or to a rukun. So these are the two things that he's going to say. Okay? And then he's going to differentiate between whether he does it intentionally or whether he doesn't do it intentionally. If it is done intentionally, then the salah is invalid. If he doesn't return back. And if it is not done, then he's going to say if it's out of accident or not knowing and so on, then that is okay. He just needs to go back. He says, وَمَنْ رَكَعَ أَوْ سَجَدَ قَبْلَ إِمَامِهِ, whoever goes down for ruku' or goes down for sujood, قبل إمامه, before his imam, فعليه, يعني what is upon him is أن يرفع ليأتي به بعده, أي بعد إمامه. What is wajib upon him is that he comes back up so that he can come with this ruku' after the imam. Surah al-Mas'ala. The Imam says, وَلَا الضَّالِّينَ آمِنْ. He reads, مثلا قُلْ اللَّهُ الصَّمَدُ لَمْ يَلِدْ وَلَمْ يُولَدْ وَلَمْ يَكُنْ لَهُ كُفُوًا أَحَدٌ, and then he stops. The Ma'moom says, Allahu Akbar, he goes down for ruku'. He shouldn't. Sah, we're in agreement that he shouldn't. But he's there. What does he need to do? And he realizes that everyone's still standing. فَعَلَيْهِ أَن يَرْفَعَ. He comes back up. لِيَأْتِيَ بِهِ. So that he comes with that rukun. Bihi. That damir pronoun goes back to what? Bihi. Yani that rukun. Whether it's a sujood or rukun. He comes back. He performs that. بَعْدَهُ. بَعْدَ man. After who? بَعْدَ إِمَامِهِ. بَعْدَ إِمَامِهِ. So what has he done is سَبَقَهُ إِلَى رُكْنٍ. سَبَقَهُ إِلَى رُكْنٍ. He has preceded him to a rukun. What does he need to do? He needs to go back and perform it after the Imam. فَإِن لَمْ يَفْعَلْ. If he does not do it, عَمْدًا, intentionally, بطلت صلاته. يعني his salah is invalid. So مثلا, let's say he says Allahu Akbar, he's in ruku'. The Imam's still standing. But then he realizes a second later the Imam's in ruku'. He says, Khalli, the Imam's here now anyway. There's no point going back. If he stays in that position while realizing and knowing he has gone to that ruku' before him, that pillar before him, then his salah is what? Invalid. Why? Because he is left off something wajib that he was meant to do. What was wajib upon him? To go back. What was wajib upon him was to go back and to perform it after the Imam. Like he hasn't. He's waited for the Imam to join him. Rather, he was meant to join the Imam in the ruku'. Like now, the opposite has happened. The Imam has joined him in the ruku'. Is that understood? Right. So if he does it intentionally, he doesn't go back. He knows he should go back and he doesn't go back. He's able to go back, but he doesn't, then his salah is invalid. وَإِن رَكَعَ وَرَفَعَ قَبْلَ رُكُوعِ إِمَامِهِ. If he does the ruku', وَإِن رَكَعَ, if he goes down for ruku', وَرَفَعَ, and he gets up قَبْلَ رُكُوعِ إِمَامِهِ. So this one, right, سبق الإمامة بركن. سبق الإمامة بركن. Or you can write السبق بركن, to precede the Imam in a ruku', in a pillar. He says, وَإِن رَكَعَ, if he goes down for ruku', وَرَفَعَ, and he gets back up, قَبْلَ رُكُوعِ إِمَامِهِ, before his Imam even comes down for ruku', عَالِمًا, and he knows, بَطَلَت, the salah becomes invalid. وَإِن كَانَ جَاهِلًا, لكن if he was ignorant of the ruling that he has to go back, أو ناسيا, or he forgot that he actually done it before the Imam, بطلت الركعة فقط, only the rak'ah becomes invalid. Only the rak'ah becomes invalid. Surah al-Mas'ala. We're praying Salat al-Isha. One of us goes down for ruku' and he comes back up. He goes down for ruku' and he comes back. The Imam says, someone out of his own will goes down for ruku'. Subhana Rabbil Azim. And he comes up. وَإِن رَكَعَ وَرَفَعَ, and he comes back up. He's standing now. And the Imam now goes down for ruku'. He's done it before the Imam. Now he knows now that he's standing, the Imam's already in a ruku', and then the Imam gets up. He knows what he has done. What did we say previously? What should he do? He needs to perform this ruku' and this getting up from ruku' after the Imam and not the Imam, not before the Imam. He says batalat, then his salah is invalid. Lakin if he does it accidentally and he doesn't do it intentionally, then his salah is invalid. Afwan, his salah is valid. Is that understood? طيب. Lakin even in the situation where he does it accidentally or he forgets and he doesn't know the ruling, that rak'ah in itself is invalid. So let's say you're praying Salat al-Isha. The very first rak'ah, someone does that. He goes down for ruku', comes back up. Whilst he's standing, the Imam goes down for ruku' and then comes back up. Now that they're both standing, that rak'ah for the ma'mum is not included. Why? Because he did not do the ruku' and he did not get up from the ruku' before the imam, after the imam. After the imam. So what does he do when the imam finishes the salah? He gets up and makes one rak'ah because that was invalid. He missed something out. And remember when we were on sujood al-sahwi, we said that the imam, there's only certain things that he covers you, like the recitation and so on. طيب. Then the Shaykh says, rahimahullah, وَإِنْ رَكَعَ وَرَفَعَ قَبْلَ رُكُوعِهِ, if he does the ruku' وَرَفَعَ and he gets up قَبْلَ رُكُوعِهِ, before the imam, so the same, so far we're the same as before. He goes down for ruku' وَرَفَعَ and he gets back up قَبْلَ رُكُوعِهِ, before the imam, ثُمَّ سَجَدَ and then he goes down for sujood. قَبْلَ رَفْعِهِ, before the imam gets up, بطلت, then the salah is invalid. What is the difference here? The difference is the third scenario. In the second scenario, he went down for ruku', didn't he? And he got up for ruku'. Then the imam went down for ruku' and then he got up. So they met each other where? In the qiyam, standing position. But this third scenario, he's gone one further. ثُمَّ سَجَدَ, then he goes down whilst the imam was still in sujood. Or the imam comes back up, but by the time the imam comes back up, he's already in sujood. Is that understood? If that is the case, ثُمَّ سَجَدَ قَبْلَ رَفْعِهِ بَطَلَتْ. If he does that before the imam, then what? His salah is invalid. إِلَّا الْجَاهِلَ, except the one that is ignorant, وَالنَّاسِ, and the one that has forgotten. وَيُصَلِّ تِلْكَ رَكْعَةَ قَضَاءً. So if the one that forgets makes a mistake, then he what? He makes that rak'ah after the salah. Have you noticed anything in the second scenario and the third scenario? There is a second scenario and the third scenario, right? You're not confused, are you? Like, what is the difference between the second and third? يعني what's the difference? Mahdi?
third one, he's in ziyada or sajda now.
نعم. سبقه بركنين. He has preceded the imam with two pillars. And the second scenario only be بركن. طيب. So that is, and the reason why they make the ruku' different to any other is because the ruku' has more of a significance than any other pillar. Why? Because remember we said من أدرك ركعة فقد أدرك الصلاة. The ruku' has a uniqueness about it within the salah, because with it you can reach the salah, with it you can reach the jama'ah, with it you can reach the rak'ah. So that is why they differentiate. طيب. So even in that second scenario, what does he need to do? If he done it intentionally, his salah is invalid, obviously. Like if he done it by way of accident and so on, then he needs to make up a rak'ah. طيب. That is what the Imam says, rahimahullah, with Imam al-Hajjabi, rahimahullah, what he says. طيب. And the second opinion in this mas'ala is إذا سبق. Do you want to write it down? We've only got a few masail after this. Now, the second mas'ala is إذا سبق المأموم. لا, all of these three masail. Any time that you precede the imam in salah, this is the second opinion, and it's a lot easier to implement. And it is the qawl that Ibn Uthaymin rahimahullah mentions in Sharh Mumti'. إذا سبق المأموم الإمام, if the ma'mum, the one that is praying behind the imam, if he precedes the imam, عالما ذاكرا, having knowledge of it, عالما ذاكرا, whilst remembering that he knows he's preceding him, فصلاته باطلة, then his salah is باطل, invalid. سواء رجع أم لم يرجع, whether he goes back or not. وإن كان ناسيا أو جاهلا, if he forgets or he's ignorant of the ruling of what he should do, فصلاته صحيحة, then his salah is sound. إلا أن يزول عذره قبل أن يدركه الإمام. إلا أن يزول عذره قبل أن يدركه الإمام فإنه يلزمه الرجوع ليأتي بما سبق فيه بعد إمامه. And you can find this khulasa in the 4th volume of Sharh Mumti' 185, page 185. In summary, the Shaykh rahimahullah, he says if a person intentionally precedes the Imam and he remembers that he's preceding the Imam, he knows, then his salah is invalid. We're not going to say if you can go back or not. Whereas the madhab was saying, what? If you can go back, then go back. Lakin, the second opinion is that khalas, whether he can go back or not, then his salah is invalid. Limada, why? Because he's playing around with the salah. If he knows that he can't do it, and he's doing it, and it's intentional, then his salah is invalid because he's playing around with the salah. Lakin if he forgets, or he doesn't know the ruling of what he should do, and he's confused, oh no, what do I do now? The Imam, I've gone forward before the Imam, I've done ruku' before the Imam, what should I do? He doesn't know, or he does it by way of jahl, or afwan, by way of nisyan, or forgetting, then what should he do? His salah is what? Valid. Lakin if he remembers just before the Imam joins him in the ruku', then he should go back because he no longer has a reason. Or someone says to him, it's wajib, someone standing behind him, for example, or next to him, it's wajib for you to follow the Imam. Now you know that you have to follow the Imam and you have to go back. So the excuse is no longer there. And that is easier to implement. Then the Shaykh says, rahimahullah, وَيُسَنُّ لِلْإِمَامِ, and it is a sunnah for the Imam, التخفيف مع الإتمام. It is a sunnah for the Imam, for him to lighten the salah, whilst completing it with its ruku' and arkan and so on. طيب. من باب الفائدة, التخفيف in the Sharia of Islam is of 2 types. تخفيف أصلي والتخفيف طارئ. تخفيف أصلي and التخفيف that is طارئ. التخفيف الأصلي, التخفيف والتيسير الأصلي, that is what the Sharia is. From the get-go, it is easy. قال جل وعلا وما جعل عليكم في الدين من حرج. Allah hasn't made any difficulty in the religion for you. قال جل وعلا يريد الله بكم اليسر ولا يريد بكم العسر. Allah wants ease for you and He doesn't want difficulty for you. The Sharia in of itself is easy from the get-go. For example, how many months a year do we fast? 1 month. Is it not easier? Imagine if it was the other way around. We had to fast 11 months and we had to, what? Be 1 month without fasting. It would be difficult. Imagine we had to pray 15 or 10 different prayers every single day. Obligatory prayers. That would be difficult. So al-asl is that the Sharia is easy. The second type of taysir or takhfif, at-takhfif at-tari', when it comes about temporarily or due to a reason. So for example, you're traveling and it's Ramadan. What are you allowed to do? Break your fast. What are you allowed to do? Shorten your prayers. What are you allowed to do? Combine your salah. If you're ill and you can't stand, salli qa'idan. Then you pray sitting down. So that takhfif. Right. The takhfif that is being referred to now is which type? The first or the second? The second is the one that is being referred to. So it is a sunnah for the imam to lighten the prayer while it's completing its pillars and so on and so forth. طيب. And the evidence for this is the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ, the hadith of Anas radiallahu anhu, where he said, وَإِن كَانَ لَيَسْمَعُ بُكَاءَ الصَّبِيِّ فَيُخَفِّفُ. If he would hear, sallallahu alayhi wasallam, the crying of a child, he would lighten the salah. مَخَافَةَ أَن تُفْتَنَ أُمُّهُ. For fear that his ummah would, that his mother would find it a fitna, meaning she wouldn't be able to concentrate. Also, Anas bin Malik radiallahu anhu, Mu'adh ibn Jabal radiallahu anhu, when he would go back to his people, he would prolong the salah. And one of the companions left the salah and prayed on his own. And when it got back to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, Mu'adh said, "Afatanu ya Mu'adh, afatanu anta ya Mu'adh. Mu'adh, are you a fatan? I mean, are you causing problems for the people?" So it is a sunnah, lakin as long as you meet the requirements of the salah. So takhfif fi salah is to pray the way the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam prayed. That is the takhfif that is needed. Right. To pray the sunnah of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, how he read and so on and so forth. The prayers that he read, the surah that he read, that we studied in Sifatul Salah. وَتَضْوِيلُ رَكْعَةِ الْأُولَى. Also, it is a sunnah to make sure that the first rak'ah is longer than أكثر من الثانية, that the first rak'ah is longer than the second. From the sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ is that his first rak'ah would be slightly longer than the second and the third and the fourth rak'ah. He says, he said رحمه الله, ويستحب انتظار الداخل إذا إن لم يشق على مأموم. ويستحب, and it is also a sunnah for the imam, it is liked for the imam to wait for the one that comes into the masjid so that he can reach the rak'ah. Lakin with the condition that إِلَّمْ يَشُقَّ, as long as it is not difficult for the people that come into the people that are already praying behind you. So the imam can prolong the ruku', for example, or even the rak'ah, in order for the people that come into the masjid to meet the rak'ah, to join the rak'ah. And from the evidences of this is Salatul Jama'ah, Salatul Khawf, where Salatul Khawf, the Prophet ﷺ would prolong the salah so that the second Jama'ah that had not already prayed with him can now pray with him. And we shall see this in Salatul Jama'ah. Then the Shaykh says, Rahimahullah, وَإِذَا اسْتَأْذَنَتِ الْمَرْأَةُ إِلَى مَسْجِدٍ, if the woman asks for permission to go to the masjid, كُرِهَ مَنْعُهَا, it is disliked to prevent her from doing so. وَبَيْتُهَا خَيْرٌ لَهَا, lakin praying in her home is better for her. Praying in her home is better for her. The next mas'ala that the Shaykh talks about is if a woman asks her husband or her family members if she can go to the masjid, then the Shaykh says it is disliked to prevent her from going. Meaning she has a right to go. And the evidence is the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ where he said, the hadith of Abdillah, إذا استأذنت المرأة or إذا استأذنت امرأة أحدكم إذا استأذنت امرأة أحدكم, if one of your wives or one of your women asks for the salah ila al-masjid, فلا يمنعها, let him not prevent him from doing so. Also the Prophet ﷺ said, لا تمنعوا نساءكم المساجد, do not prevent your women from going to the masajid. وبيوتهن, although their houses خير لهن, are better for them. So this is a dalil for this mas'ala. Can anyone notice the difference between, or if there is a difference between the hukum that the author has given us and the hukum in the hadith?
The hadith, well, the second majority, لا تمنعوا نساءكم مساجد. Do not prevent. There's a tahil. There's a
nahi.
There's a nahi.
There's a prohibition.
Aslan shows prohibition.
Na'am.
But we say that it's karah. The matan says it's makruh.
So there seems to be a difference between the hukum and the evidence for it. صح. طيب صحيح. So that is why the second opinion in this mas'ala is التحريم. التحريم. يحرم منع النساء من المسجد أو من المساجد. Due to the hadith, إذا استأذنت امرأة أحدكم, if one of your women asks for the masjid, إلى المسجد, to go to the masjid, ask for permission, فلا يمنعها, let him not prevent him. And the second hadith, لا تمنعوا إماء الله, نعم إماء is another hadith, different narration, لكن this one says لا تمنعوا نساءكم, أو إماء الله, another narration, المساجد, do not prevent them from the masajid. والنهي والأصل في النهي التحريم. والأصل, as Abdul Karim said, الأصل في النهي التحريم. The asl for this prohibition is that it is impermissible, that it brings about impermissibility. So it is haram to prevent them. However, the ulama, they also mentioned some conditions. ألا تكون متطيبة, so that she doesn't have يعني perfume. أصلا it's impermissible for her to go out with her perfume. نعم, due to the hadith of Abu Hurairah radiallahu anhu, he says وَلْيَخْرُجْنَا, let them go out تَفِذَاتٍ, without having أي غير متطيبات. نعم. The hadith narrated by Imam Dawood rahimahullah, hadith 565, where the Prophet said وَلْيَخْرُجْنَا, let them go out تَفِلَاتٍ أي غير متطيبات, without having طيب. And another narration, وإذا شهدت, and the hadith of Zainab radiallahu anha, إذا شهدت إحداكن المسجد, if one of you comes to the masjid, فلا تمس طيبا, فلا تمس طيبا, they are not put طيب on. Also, the second condition is that there shouldn't be a fitna, we have to be free of fitna. And number 3, that they shouldn't go out in clothing that beautify, in beautification and adornment. So we'll stop there inshallah, and then after Ramadan we'll resume the masail of imamah. Wallahu ta'ala a'lam wa ahkam.
With regards to the one who precedes the imam doing going to ruku' or going sajda, there are some musalli that I've seen that are following the imam as he's going down.
Naam. So afwan, jazakallah khair. So there's a mas'ala. There's 4 things with regards to the imam. Number 1, السبق, that you precede the imam. الثاني المتابعة, that you follow the imam. And the next is التخلف, that you remain behind. There should be 4. السبق, that you precede the imam. نعم. السبق, that you precede the imam. The second المساواة, that you actually do it at the same time as the imam. And the third is al-mutaba'a, that you follow the imam. And the fourth is that you delay your whatever it is that you're doing, the ruku' and you do it after the imam. The first, as-sabq, is muharram, it is impermissible. The second is disliked because it's possible that you may end up saying مثلا the takbirat al-ihram before the imam. And the third is what is wajib, al-mutaba'a, that you follow the imam. And the fourth, at-takhalluf, that you delay it, that is also disliked because the imam, you're always playing catch up with the imam. If you forget to read Surah Al-Fatiha behind the imam, does the imam cover it, and would you have to make up that rak'ah after the imam does? No. If you forget to read the Fatiha, then the imam's recitation is enough for you. The imam reading is enough for you if the imam gets up for the next. And also, if the imam gets up for the next rak'ah whilst you are still doing the tashahhud and you follow him without finishing it off, does the imam cover it, or do you need to make it up? Like, you don't need to make it up because aslan the middle rak'ah is not wajib anyway. The middle tashahhud afwan is wajib, and even if you miss it out, then you carry on. Fadal.
Potentially include like a prayer room within a school.
Yeah, I mentioned that. A prayer room within the hospital, within a school, within a work environment, at the airport, all of that is included. In the masjid, that is okay, according to all of the fuqaha, that you can pray a jama'ah after jama'ah after jama'ah. And obviously, it's better to pray with one jama'ah, but often that's not the case. People will have their break at different times.
To catch up to the ruku', do you have to say Subhan Rabbil Azim, or if a person just makes it to the ruku' and their hands.
Naam, if they make it to the ruku', that's enough. Even if they don't say it, the Imam will carry that ruku' for the recitation for you. Subhana Rabbil Azim. Fadal. Allah yabarak.
During the Idrak al-Jama'ah, does the person have to catch before both taslim or before the first one?
According to the madhab, it's the first. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. And then you reach the jama'ah. As before you say Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah, the first one. Naam, where's my Mr. Well, last question. طيب والله تعالى أعلم وأحكم بالله توفيق.
وقل رب زدني